lovely, close to the end of month edition of Darkness in Dublin, the Changeling venue. On this wonderful, wonderful, late, late, late Sunday evening, we find ourselves amongst the streets of Dublin with a lone Mr. Adamson Moreblood out of his house from his normal reclusive state, having been driven out from the madness that is typing and developing the munchies. However, after walking for a brief period of time and getting a bag of crisps, a soda pop from a vending machine, he so happens to notice a bar he's never seen before. And it's been a while. He's had a couple of brews here and there, but he doesn't remember seeing this one, which doesn't really surprise him, as he's not been out all that much lately. Not since the Gremlin incident and seeing people that aren't exactly normal. So he's going to take a chance, and he's going to step inside this lovely bar to see what he sees. And what is it that he sees from Mr. Ronir?
Originally, it wasn't my freehold, so I'm going to be a bit sparse on the details, but it is a very cozy, Ogden-style bar, so handcrafted amenities, very comfortable surroundings, big roaring fire, and behind the bar, a very attractive young man with ear-length golden curls and deep sapphire blue eyes, almost pale, but not in a sickly way, just radiantly fair, let's say. And he's on a cell phone texting, we'll say texting Willow to come visit him at the establishment. And he's just got some open textbooks on the bar. It's probably quite late, so not too many patrons. But he looks up when the door rings and calls to the new entrant, "Welcome to the Honeycomb Inn."
Oh, hi. I've never seen this place before. Um, Golly, this is nice in here. Oof. Do you is it okay if I sit wherever?
He just glances around and gestures at the many empty tables and then shrugs his shoulders. "You may sit anywhere you wish. The bar even." He shrugs at you.
Sure. I'd love to. Uh, it isn't being reserved for anyone, is it? I don't want to interrupt you if you're about to close up shop.
He just blinks at you for a moment. He has very big, unnaturally blue, deep blue eyes. He raises an eyebrow. "No, no one as such. I was just tending the bar. You are not inconveniencing me in the slightest."
Oh, well, cool. It's nice to be welcomed in. That's good to know. Do you have a menu or what do you offer? I mean, obviously this is a bar, but the, he seems almost to be struggling a little bit to find words to say. Like he's flustered, but not because he doesn't seem to be attracted to you, even though you're obviously quite pretty. It's more of a he seems nervous about himself, if that makes sense.
He eyes you up for a moment, just top to bottom, then raises his other eyebrow at you. Steve, just out of character, has he had his chrysalis?
Yes, he has. He he's at this point. I will go to the point of saying he's glanced at you, but hasn't really looked directly at you. If that makes sense, almost like he's looking at the floor a lot.
He starts to smile, um, and his lip curls playfully. I have not seen you around before.
I stay in my house a lot. I'm a little bit of a shut in. Yeah, I yeah.
He just lets that linger for a moment, then tilts his head, gestures to some of the beverages on tap, points to some of the signs above the bar indicating what's, you know, on the menu. But he'll also slide across the bar an actual menu for you to peruse.
He'll look over it, um, and actually look very intently at it, um, before selecting one of them and requesting a glass of water with it as well.
Is it a drink?
Yes, he will. It's probably just one of the mundane ones if there are any offered. Because if there are any special ones, he does not know what any of them are. So
As far as I know, it's mundane.
okay, so he just gets a pretty middling quality, average, bare middle of the road kind of thing.
Takes a glass and pours for you, slides it across the bar.
No, thanks. That's good. That's good. Thank you. Uh, so so when did this place open? Like I said, I don't remember seeing it even when I moved in to town.
He looks thoughtful for a moment. I could not say, but I came to work here only a month and a half ago, and the original owner who employed me, well, I stand as steward in her absence.
Oh, so you're the acting manager then? Gotcha.
He just blinks at that, thinks, yes, I suppose that would be an appropriate title.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Um, I've been here for a little over a year now, or a little under a year. I forget which. It's been a while. It's been a crazy bit of time getting used to the city and well, the house and getting ready the house, getting the house ready and getting stuff set up. Yeah, yeah. That's yeah.
He nods. Uh, Your drink is on the house. He waves.
Oh, well, golly. Are you sure? Can I can I can I maybe, I don't know, take out the trash for you or something?
That makes him smirk because obviously he recognizes your kith.
Oh yeah, and I'll actually put up that picture. There you go. That's closer to what he would be seen as.
When I close up for the night, I will find something, some chore for you, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. I don't mind. I like helping people out.
At that point, the little bell above the door. I don't know if there's one. Now there is one. Will Frinkle as the door opens, and yeah, Willow will walk in, um, looking pretty much like she does in the picture. dark blue coat and a white bow in her hair. She walk up to the bar and says, Christian, I got your text.
Uh, when another person enters the establishment, it's very much kind of this phase for him. It's like, oh, more people. Oh God.
Christian smiles over Adamson's shoulder as he sees Willow enter and beckons her over to the bar. Yes, I thought I might communicate a recent update. I believe this holding falls within the jurisdiction of your lord husband, does it not?
Yes, it does.
The Boggin Siobhan, our mutual friend, has departed on some business and left me in charge of this establishment.
Acquaintance, really, but all right. I will make sure Baron Voitrust will get the message.
There's a certain amount of blinking going on at this point, along the lines of, well, um, I guess this is a thing I'm learning now.
He nods at Willow and then looks at, flicks his eyes to the Boggin. Uh,
Right back outside.
okay, he'll just talk to Willow then. He just nods at Willow and shrugs his shoulders. It was not the arrangement I expected, and yet I honor the request, and of course, will pay due taxes as I shall honor the arrangement that has been made.
Of course, I had not expected anything else from you, Sir Christian. Would you mind making me a tea? Please.
Of course, he turns and puts a pot of tea on.
And she'll sit down at the bar, her feet kind of dangling because, she's very short. Um, and she'll sort of lean over the bar, almost like a child would, as she's kind of looking to see what Christian's doing, and kind of smiles. I never expected to see you as a bartender.
It would seem Earth inspires many changes, he says, without looking at you while he's making the tea. Scattered across the bar is a bunch of college textbooks.
Can she read what titles there are?
Um, there's a business math textbook, business stuff like that. I think that's mostly it.
Hmm. So economics. Willow will like make a face. Oof. You do take your job serious. That's definitely something that speaks for you, but rather you than me, I suppose. I,
He looks over his shoulder, raises an eyebrow at you, then turns and pours himself a beer from the tap, holds it up, watches it bubble in the glass, smiles at it. To be honest, I find it enjoyable work. And then he sits down behind the bar and sips his beer.
I suppose it is. It's not the work that. I mean, I worked at McDonald's when I first came to the city. It's the books. Seems some pretty heavy stuff there.
He makes a face. Ah, yes. Not the most fascinating subject, and yet necessary, I think. I do not have the necessary acumen. Well, the finances elude me, but I am making progress.
Well, I do wish you luck in your endeavors. So, how have you been otherwise?
Thinks for a moment. Hmm. Outside of my job and my education and that time which I spent with my family, uh, things have been, all things considered, calm.
Sorry about that. Real life.
It happens. So banal, though. Well, if you're looking for something to do, I I could use some more training with a sword. After all, I do have to, you know, I have a certain mission to pick up soon. I've been waiting for too long, I think.
He raises an eyebrow. The business with the green giant.
Amongst other things, I also still have a mission from the merfolk.
The merfolk. The last I heard, we were not to antagonize them in any way. I believe that was the command the Duchess ordered.
Oh, I did not at all antagonize them. You remember the business with the rabbits?
I have heard something of a black rabbit and disappearances, murders even, most tragic, but I have had no run-ins as such myself.
Well, you should really be happy about that. It's long story short, because really there's no much point in repeating all of that. They abducted a princess of the merfolk, and me and a puka returned the princess home, and after that they gave us this quest, sort of told us to do this and to keep relationships well, or hopefully build them up somewhat. I figured we should really, for now, listen to what their, well, demands, because it was more demanding than anything else, are. So now we have to go to a volcano.
He blinks at that, taking that in for a moment, takes a sip of beer, glances at Adamson, smirks behind his beer.
Adamson just kind of has an expression of the what, the huh, the who. He hasn't said a single word though.
Despite the gravity of what Willow's talking about, Christian chuckles lightly and then wipes a bit of beer from the top of his lip. Forgive us, Mr. He leans in at Adamson questioningly.
Yeah, sorry, manners. But my name is Adamson.
He nods. Runir ap Fiona.
Okay, I can remember that. Yeah, I can remember that.
He just glances back at Willow. He's new. Very new.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's my first time here, but yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Sir Adamson.
Sir, please, just Adamson. I'm.
As you wish, just Adamson. And she smiles and will hold out her hand. I am Willow.
He's gonna take a minute and kind of do the hand wipe on the pants. Yes, sorry. He's gonna shake your hand, and he's not super gentle or strong, but his hands are not calloused in the slightest. If anything, they're probably stained with a little bit of ink. Hi. It's a brief handshake when he gives it.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like he's almost thinking he's going to touch like something hot off the stove.
Willow's hands are actually a little cold.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's definitely not hot.
Yeah, well, it's yeah.
She'll smile, not like, a mean, noble smile, as most nobles have, but just a
Yeah, not like
soft
she's going
smile.
to eat him.
No. It's very much the opposite of that. And what might your profession be, just Adamson, so that I may next time, well, at least call you by your correct title?
Oh, I write.
A writer.
Yeah, I write. I send in stories. Yeah.
May I ask what kind of stories?
Uh, I I I write romance novels.
That sounds amazing. I'm actually a little jealous. I've never been very good with words.
The words are pretty easy for me to write down.
Would you have a sample with you?
No, I wouldn't, but you can look up any book from the name well I anything hold on. And what he does actually is he takes out his phone, which is horribly beaten up looking. Like it's got cracks all in the screen, but not so much you can't see in it properly. And it doesn't look old, but it looks like more that has been mishandled. Um, and he brings up one of the books that he's submitted that's not out yet, that doesn't have his pen name on it, and he just shows her the name of it. And it's like, this one right here, it's not out yet. Give it like another 2 months to hit the press, and that'll be out. Yeah, that's one of the ones.
She'll look it over and looks over the name and oh wait, it didn't have all the
It doesn't have his pen name on there.
okay, yeah. She'll like take in the title and will nod.
Yeah, that one's been done. No joke, I probably have like 30 books under me that are all romances. I forget, and yeah, I have another book coming out soon though. I hope. I submitted it, and he actually gets excited here for a second. To the point that I'm actually gonna make willpower check to kind of fight his phobia.
Oh dear.
Do 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 do. Where's the rolls? There's the rolls, and that is what is that? /R6010. Yeah, he's okay for a little while. So the story I've really been working on though is this noir detective story, and I don't have a title for it yet, but I submitted it to my publisher, and I'm really hoping it gets through because it's got this thing like it's got this MacGuffin that somebody's got to go get, but they can't get it because the only person that knew where it was got murdered in the beginning of the book, and oh, it's going to be good.
It sounds pretty exciting indeed.
I am excited. My whole world's opened up since then.
You are certainly a most prolific author. Smiles at you.
Your whole world has opened up because of
Well,
this book.
well, he kind of scratches the back of his head. Because mind you, he is still not totally paid attention to what any of you guys look like. Because he's got a constant state of looking down right now. Like he sees bodies and he hears voices, so he kind of doesn't look at faces a lot. It's like, yeah, I sent it in about 2 months ago or 3 months ago or something. I forget. And I kept, God, I want to sound silly saying it. You know what? I need another drink before I do this. Can I have another drink, please?
He pours you another one.
He takes a moment and finishes about half of it shortly thereafter. Takes a deep breath and goes ahead and has the next one. And he's a lightweight, so he had 2 drinks. That is not the right roll. I am sorry. That, however, is the right roll. And I am a stamina god right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you drink your drink, Christian tips back his drink, and I'm going to use that as a bunk for Summer at this moment.
Okay.
That's
And what in the world are you doing?
mm-hmm.
So I'm casting Flicker Flies right now
Uh-huh.
with the effect of good cheer. So
Okay.
hopefully to alleviate whatever anxiety Adamson is experiencing.
Okay. Uh so what I started seeing things that I'd never noticed before. Um like I swear when I was down at the grocery store, I saw this girl that had blue skin, and I thought maybe it's just no, it had to be tattoos. But no, I saw her again at the checkout, and she had blue skin. So I was like, "Oh God, it's probably a medical condition." I didn't want to say anything bad about it. But then I saw this person I swear their teeth are serrated. And I stayed away from them. And then I saw this guy who was really tall. I mean, really tall, even for here, and like big. And I've just been noticing a few things here and there that don't add up. And I think I'm going a little nuts if I'm being 100% honest.
Afraid of losing your mind.
There's a reason I've stayed in the house almost consistently for the last 26 days.
26 days. You've not gone outside.
Pretty much. I mean, I ordered in a lot of stuff. Amazon's great for that.
I suppose, but if you were afraid of losing your mind, staying inside is definitely not a good option.
Well, to be fair, it's better than thinking that you've been surrounded by I don't know, monsters.
Perhaps fairies.
Incidentally, as Christian slams his drink down after downing it, uh, Adamson notices out of just sort of congregating, appearing out of nowhere and congregating all around him, floating are motes of scintillating light that radiate feelings of calm and good cheer.
What the what? I it's
Very pretty dancing lights.
they are a little pretty. Well, he wins the good cheer game, I guess. I just it's yeah. I've just been working on my next book. It's better that way.
Adamson, do you believe in fairies?
That's a complicated question. Um, that's a really complicated question.
She'll actually, if, like, he lets her, which, to be honest, she doubts he will. So she'll make sure that he has the opportunity to pull his hand away, but she'll place her hand on his.
He doesn't move. Like you touching him doesn't seem to bother him. It's more like he's remembering something.
It's something that you can believe in with every bit of your soul, every bit of your heart. It's not necessarily even belief, it's knowing.
I've it kind of nods. I've seen some things I can't explain. I'll be honest. The and he just mutters something that's not coherent whatsoever, except for saying something along the lines of leaving crumbs in my keyboard.
Leaving what in your keyboard?
I've
It's alright.
it okay. Prepare to go to the loony bin, and he just kind of smacks his hand down a little bit, and he just goes, "Oh yeah, completely, completely. The things left crumbs on my keyboard. They ate my fucking pizza, and then they made me bust my light in my closet, and then they went and they dug through my trash, and they drank my beer, and they gave me new beer, and it was guys. And then they looked like little Furbies, and then they said that they'd been there longer than I have, and I needed to watch out, and that's my book smelled like icky flowers."
They probably have been longer around than you have been.
The thing's name was Gilgamesh.
You're not going crazy. You can trust us.
It's okay. I'm probably asleep right now. That's the only explanation. That's the only reason you're not calling the cops on me right now.
You are not asleep, Adamson. I see the lights as clearly as you. Are they not pretty?
He does that thing where you open your mouth to talk and nothing comes out.
Such scintillating silver, glorious crimson. Is it not a sight to behold?
Oh, they're very pretty. I mean they're nice, and I am actually pretty calm looking at them. They're pretty cool. I just none of this makes any sense
Why should the world make sense? You're a writer.
because the world makes sense.
Does it?
I thought it did.
Would it be fun if everything made sense?
Life tends to make sense. I thought. I think. I think. And he nods. I think.
Skin shrugs at Willow. It is my experience that humans feel safest when things make sense.
Safest, perhaps so, but Adamson, when you were younger, like, have you ever been drunk?
Not too often. I don't tend to drink much. I just
Do you recall the first time that you were drunk? Maybe not even completely drunk, but just drunk enough that the world was fuzzy and strange, and the things you saw just were funny for a reason, or mysterious, or just more entertaining than usual.
I remember sneaking one of my dad's bottles of hooch when I got grounded one weekend, and I started writing, and I remember it got me through that weekend when I was locked in my room.
Because when you're drunk, the world doesn't make that much sense anymore. You look at it in a different way. It's all about perception, and you just see more now.
I mean, I was taught a lot of things in school about how stuff has to make sense. I mean, it's like you see a crime scene, the stuff adds up. It's just figuring out how it adds up.
Well, you're not entirely wrong, but now it just adds up differently, with more. You've opened up your eyes to so much more. More things that will make sense, or maybe won't. Maybe some things will always remain a mystery.
All I know is I don't go in my basement anymore.
Is there something wrong with your basement?
No, I just made a deal not to go in my basement. That's all. They have the basement. Don't mess with the basement. That's why I put a cooking plate in my study and why I put a small fridge in there.
Have you ever heard of changelings?
I mean, this is where I have to make an academics check. Do, yay, do. Do.
No lores yet?
Oh God, no. Yeah, I think that was the word that they used to talk about in the old like Welsh stories about like people that would have their kid snatched and replaced with somebody else. Is that what I'm thinking of?
Christian pours himself another beer. That descriptor just seemed to strike him.
It's one of the stories, yes.
Yeah, that's what I remember hearing about, and like some of the stories I read when I was a kid. Um, that's about it. Um, yeah.
What if those stories were real?
Then this world would be infinitely more terrifying.
Terrifying? Just that?
Yes, be infinitely more terrifying. I don't want to know necessarily the kind of things that could take away people like that and replace them with something you couldn't tell the difference. That scares the shit out of me. Doesn't it scare you to know what kind of things could do that?
No?
You're a braver person than I am.
Not really.
He scrunches a little bit, but he is in fact also under the effects of good cheer flicker flies, so it doesn't really offend him that much. But he just sips his beer and says, "It is not so much that they are snatched in most cases. They simply come again. They reincarnate, as it were."
I mean, I guess that could be the thing. I don't. You guys seem to be really fond of these stories. I'm sorry if I offended you.
You
You've
didn't.
not offended me.
No, not at all. Have you looked in the mirror lately?
Uh, no, I don't tend to look in mirrors.
A specific reason?
I didn't have one growing up, so I just never got used to having them around.
Hmm. Well, perhaps you should go to the bathroom and look in the mirror.
Do I have something on my face?
That makes Christian laugh.
It's not so much as that you have something on your face, but if you trust me, I would.
You're gonna point at my big nose, aren't you?
If you would go to the gentleman's bathroom, there's no way that I would follow you.
Okay. And he'll get up and say, which way?
Christian will point you in the direction of the gentleman's restroom.
He will indeed go to the restroom and take a few minutes relieving himself and then washing his hands before he will look at himself. Uh, feel free to talk for a minute or so while he does this.
To be fair, Willow does at some point expect a scream, so she's actually looking at Christian and says, maybe you should follow? I don't know. I've never done this before.
Christian's thoughtful for a moment, and then he shrugs. Some things we figure out for ourselves in the men's room.
Fair enough. So, do you think we should just break the news to him, or I don't know. I don't know what's right here. He seems awfully nervous.
It is. His eyes shift left and right. perhaps our responsibility to bring him into the fold.
Alright, well, let's see how he gets out of the bathroom then. Could you add some rum to my tea? I feel like I'm gonna need it.
Quirks an eyebrow, but nods. Rum and tea. I have not tried this combination, but he pours it for you.
It's really good.
It's about this time that the toilet will flush, the hands will be washed, and then there is, depending on how thin the walls are, there may be a sound of a as a face is being washed. And there's no scream. There's no yelling. There's no breaking of glass. There's a brief moment, and the door will open. He will step out, and he'll just sigh and go sit back at the bar and start drinking his water.
Flicker flies followed you the entire way there and back, by the way.
Works for me.
Christian just looks expectantly. Did you see anything?
I see that I still have a big nose and big ears. That is not changed. I don't know why I never noticed them before.
He just blinks at you and then looks at Willow, then looks at Adamson again, then back at Willow.
It's the same thing Gilgamesh said. Kept calling me Big Nose.
Well, you recall that blue-skinned person you spoke of earlier.
Yeah, I saw them. I remember.
Your features may be less apparent than an 8-foot stature and horns and blue skin. However, what you have not noticed before is that your features have changed.
Mm.
It's not so much that you say you didn't look in the mirror very often in general. But you're surprised that you never noticed your nose and ears.
Nope,
That's
didn't notice.
because they weren't that noticeable before. Have you heard of boggins?
I can honestly say I never have.
Christian makes a face as he ventures house spirits.
Do you mean like the liquor that's carried in a bar?
No, I mean the fairy patrons of various households who perform tasks for a family. He'll just shrug at you then. Suffice to say, Adamson, you are indeed a fairy.
I mean, no offense, bud, but I know I write romances, but I do like women.
Christian's head just collapses on the bar.
Everyone in here is a fairy, actually.
I mean, it's cool to be that. I have no problem with that.
No,
He looks confused.
Christian over here, he's a she. Royalty. I am a Selkie. You are a Bogan.
You know that thing where you hold up one hand and point one direction, and you hold up the other hand and point another direction, and you kind of don't know which one to look at? It's that. Ed, you know what? I'm on this train right now. I'll keep listening.
Not too long ago, I was in your shoes, and trust me, it's not an easy road, but the fairy tales, maybe you read them when you were a kid or were told by your parents. Most of them
Grandma
are
read me
true.
some.
Most of them are true or hold a semblance of truth. There's an entire world out there that humans don't see, filled with everything you can dream of, both good and bad. You're about to be part of that world, like we are. And she kind of gestures around the entire bar.
I have no reason not to believe you, but other than everything I was ever taught. But for some reason, I don't think you're lying to me.
I'm not. Do me a favor. Look Sir Christian in the eyes.
It's only at that moment that Christian pulls himself up from lying face down on the bar.
He does that thing where you start slowly raising your head up. Like imagine a scene from a movie where the camera is rolling up. And he stops at the chin for a moment and then kind of takes a glance at his eyes. Then looks away and then forces himself to look for more than a second.
Even with his reduced appearance of 5, he's still the epitome of blonde-haired, blue-eyed human beauty. But he just returns your stare.
Okay. So, I mean, he's not my type. Yeah, he's pretty.
People would say his eyes are not of this world, and they would not be wrong.
I mean, they are super blue. Like, super blue.
Mm-hmm.
I shall take that as a compliment, he says to Willow.
You should. Give credit where it's due.
Look, I will fully admit my world does not make much sense right now, and I am turning into a horrible recluse. And I can't say I believe you, but I don't think you're lying, so I'm willing to listen to you until I have a reason not to listen to you. Does that make sense?
Christian looks at you incredulously and then gestures vaguely at the motes of light flying around your head.
Sir, I think I am dreaming, as I said.
But we'll just pinch him.
Hey! Was it
You're not dreaming.
nice?
You're not dreaming.
Christian reaches over and pinches him.
Hey! That is not a way to treat a patron.
If he's a little thick-headed, perhaps it is a way. You said you were dreaming, or you thought you were dreaming. Obviously, you're not.
It's a lot better to think I'm dreaming than think I'm going crazy.
It's neither. It's just a bigger reality than you realized before. Where do you think you got your inspiration from? Your dreams, your ideas?
I never gave it any thought.
Perhaps you should.
And to be fair, I don't dream a whole lot. Usually when I do, it's when writing a new thing down in my notebook and getting to it eventually.
So what then would convince you, Mr. Adamson?
I that is a dangerous question.
I tend to ask those.
I I don't know. I really don't know.
The only one who can convince you in the end is you. You should look around more. Go outside, see the world as it is through your own eyes.
With people out there?
With
I,
other changelings out there as well. We can tell you things about our worlds, explain you things, but if you're not willing to open up for the truth, then, well, and you said it yourself, the world has to make sense, so create your own sense. Investigate. Ask questions. Isn't that what a writer does? What an investigator does?
he looks at you like squinting his eyes.
I don't know if
See,
you really see anything of the Selkie, by the way.
no, he's just squinting the eyes as he's looking at you like you're making sense for the first time. That's what I would do. It's the world does need to make sense.
Christian sets his beer down after taking a long sip. Adamson, you said you were having some difficulties in your place of residence, yes?
I did. I made a deal to deal with some of it. It's dealt with well enough. I basically keep all my stuff upstairs now, and I don't go in the kitchen, and I don't go in the basement.
Taps a finger on his chin.
It's okay though. I have a big house.
Could you describe this Gilgamesh?
Yeah, kinda. So do you happen to know what a Furby is?
I believe my sister had one when she was young. He makes a face like he's trying to think, but then he nods. Yes, I recall.
It kind of looked like a Furby with long arms, and its beak was kind of flexible.
How horrifying.
It was a little weird. They kind of hit some of them with a baseball bat. There's like a bunch of them.
How did they take this assault?
I did that. Some were not happy, and then the one called Gilgamesh talked to me and gave me a beer and said I wasn't supposed to notice them, but I did.
You will find now that there are other such creatures, the like of well, perhaps not the exact like of Gilgamesh, but that which you cannot explain by your rational thought alone.
I had almost put myself into a delusion that they were nothing more than the figments of my own psyche trying to get me to reduce my living space because I'm living too extravagantly.
He chuckles lightly. We call them chimera, and oft they are allies of us, but just as often enemies.
Yeah. They've been okay roommates. They haven't really messed with anything. The electrical boxes haven't gone out. Um, they don't eat my clothes. Well, they would record over my TiVo once, so I'm kind of mad about that.
What's a TiVo?
It's this thing where you record television that plays when you can't watch it, so you can watch it later. Basically, you can record a bunch of it at once.
He blinks like that's the first he's hearing of it.
Yeah, you can get it from the cable company.
He actually looks thoughtful for a moment as he just glances off, and then he shakes his head.
I mean, do you need the cable company's number? They can probably get an appointment for you.
It is of no consequence, but I appreciate the offer. Because you are new, he smiles, although you need not accept this offer. I should like to become acquainted with Gilgamesh.
Um, I mean, sure. Um, maybe when I know you a little better, I don't just let random strangers into my house, except the delivery guy.
He reaches down under the bar and produces a broadsword in a scabbard and just sets it down on the bar.
Quite literally, he jumps up and steps back. Look! I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult you. I'm sorry.
He just blinks at you, looks at Willow.
So Christian is a knight.
I you mean like Camelot and like Knights of the Round Table kind of thing, or do you mean like that I dubbed thee from the Queen?
Bit of
The former
both.
more than the latter, I should say, with a smirk.
Can you repeat that, please?
You just said the former rather than the latter.
That blink. Next thing you're going to tell me is that Arthur and Excalibur are real.
Well, real but lost, unfortunately.
Blink, blink, blink.
We weren't joking when we said that a lot of fairy tales, legends, myths, there's truth to them.
Christian just slowly puts the broadsword away.
That He slowly steps back to the bar.
Do you wish to see something else of our world?
Kind of cocks his head.
It's not a weapon. She'll take her backpack and will slowly open it, and in it you can see, like, she's not getting it out fully, um, but there's a scaled egg in her backpack.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Christian smiles at that. Ah, I had almost forgot that you were in possession of such a thing. You have not decided what you wish to do with it yet?
I know what I have to do if I want to. I do not know how to say this in English. Give birth to the egg?
Uh, Hatch?
Hatch, hatch. Thank you. Wow, it's late.
It's okay.
I'm not quite sure how to, or I know how to hatch the egg, but it requires a sacrifice that I am not sure anyone would be willing to make at this point.
Wait, so that's not like a statue or something? Like a
No,
like a bust?
no, that's not. It's real.
What's in it?
What do you think is in it?
I mean, it's an egg. I know, but I don't think it's a chicken.
It's a bit large for a chicken, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's even bigger than ostrich size. I think. I had a friend growing up whose dad that raised ostriches, and that's a little big even for that.
You can feel it if you want.
I'm gonna gently place his hand on it.
It's warm, really warm. Not hot, but yeah, warm.
Oh golly!
If you have ever laid hands on a dragon's egg, he smiles at Adamson.
Blink, blink, and he halfway says Durgan before he stops.
I wouldn't recommend meeting them in person, though. They, at least the one we've met, didn't look kindly at us.
It allowed us to flee with our lives. How much more kindly could you expect it to look upon us after intruding into its realm?
I mean, I've heard the term hoarding something by like dragon eggs, but this is just ridiculous.
So, do you have any questions for us already? Anything that you want to investigate?
Uh, um,
Or do you want me to actually turn into a seal to convince you?
the what?
Perhaps I should turn my hair pink again, he says, looking at Willow, and his hair is golden blonde again.
This is
Or should
this
I
is
turn
a
his hair pink?
this is a lot. This is a lot.
It
I
is.
like I said, I don't think you guys are lying to me, but this seems too crazy.
You'll get used to it.
God, I
I
hope
can make
so.
I can make it crazier if you want to, if you're up for it.
Sure. The worst thing that's going to happen is if I am sleeping, I'll wake up. But I don't think I'm sleeping at this point. I think I've gone a little bit nutser.
What if I told you that What Christian said that he could do, turn his hair pink, is magic in a way.
I mean, to be fair, I can turn my hair pink too, but it's going to take about 4 hours.
It can take him 1 second. I could make it rain inside if I wanted to.
Please do not do that.
I will not. You can do that too, or things similar to it.
I cannot do anything like this. I don't know what you people are talking about.
No, you haven't explored it yet.
I do.
Have
Willow,
you,
lady, look, I write.
Willow, please?
Uh,
Just call me Willow.
Willow, I write. That's about I. The most magical thing I can do is make people believe in love again.
You know how magical that is.
It's words. It's what people take from it.
Words can be powerful.
I mean, words matter definitely, but
Have you done anything strange or has something happened to you lately?
I have not done anything strange.
Hmm. All of us can do some sort of magic. There's many different kinds of magic. We call it the arts. I can't tell what you can do. Or maybe I can. Hmm.
Christian's just leaning over the bar on one elbow, his face propped in his hand, staring at Adamson with a bit of fascination, because he's never quite encountered a fairy that refused to acknowledge their existence this adamantly. But then he raises an eyebrow at Willow. Ah, yes, you are a soothsayer.
I am.
Uh,
Would you like to know the future, Adamson?
I'm actually going to say no to that one. It's better to not know. Not knowing gives you hope.
The right knowledge can give you hope as well. Hope that you aren't crazy.
Yeah. God, right now the only thing that I really want to have happen is to make sure the freaking publisher pays me on time.
All right.
What will it take, Adamson, to convince that you are not dreaming?
I mean, how do you convince yourself you're not dreaming when you're dreaming, sir? Especially when reality seems so close.
I usually go with the flow. Dreams are just as real in some ways as the world you know. If no humans dreamed, would we ever exist?
I mean, plenty of people don't dream and they exist. There's a bunch of people that don't dream. I think.
Remembering a dream is a different thing. He taps his chin, then he looks at Willow. He looks kind of exacerbated, but also amused by the situation as he shakes his head at the Baroness. I do not believe there is anything spectacular we can do which will convince him.
No, I'm pretty sure that the only one who can convince him is himself. He needs to be the one doing the investigation.
How about this? How about this? How about you guys give me a phone number I can call, and I will give you mine. And if I have any questions, I'll call you. Does that sound fair?
Of course. Here's my business card. She'll hand him an old, actually, card. It says Willow Miller, photographer, and has a cell phone number, email address, and even a website on it.
You're a photographer?
Yes, well,
I actually need a
I
photographer.
you do?
Yeah, book covers.
Okay, I don't mind helping out.
Cool. I can actually do something with this. Um, God, I'll have to get over for coffee some point. Get some manuscripts out that I can kind of get a feel for you. He actually seems to relax into a state of normalcy at this, and be able to knock those out. Because if I get that noir story, oh buddy, I'm gonna need a good one for that. 'Cause good photos hook you in.
Well, I specialize mostly in nature photography, but I do weddings and things because ultimately nature photography doesn't pay that well.
Well, I mean, I pay okay. I'm I'm not like
I
loaded, but I pay okay.
I don't I don't work for the money anymore. It's more of a hobby now.
Well, I mean, I still pay okay. Um, a couple $100.
We can come to an agreement, I'm sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. Um, so,
If you look at the website, my portfolio is on there.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can reach me either through email or use the telephone number.
I can do that. Um, I can do that. Um, well, I suppose I ought to give you my last name then. So just for purposes, I said my name is Adamson. Adamson Warblood. Yes, before you asked, that is my real last name.
Well, I'm sure it's not the strangest last name out there.
Probably not. I know my grandmother had it. My dad had it.
That's how last names tend to run down the family.
Yeah, this is true.
My
And
name is
go ahead.
Willow Voidfrost.
Uh,
Miller is my maiden name.
oh, well, he raises the empty glass. Salut.
She's like, I mean, besides the fact that she's extremely small. She's about 19 years old.
Um, Adamson is far older. I mean, the gray in his beard kind of says that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Early 20s for Christian, and he writes on a napkin a phone number with the name Christian, and as he slides it to you, he explains, "By this name you will know me in the mortal world."
I Okay. Is there a last name I can put in here?
Raises an eyebrow.
Your surname, your like your name you got from your parents.
He slides the napkin back, looks up at it, from it to you for a moment, and then writes Dubois, and then slides it back.
Okay, this I can put in. He just does the phone thing, puts it in there, and flips over the napkin. People always misspell my last name. It's got 2 R's in it. And right on the back of it, Adamson Warblood, and then write down the phone number. I live pretty close to here, so if I have questions, it's not really a hard thing. Um, yeah, definitely have to get with you about the photography, though. I I have an idea for something, but I have to get opinions on it. But I got to do some more studying first.
Of course, I don't have any sessions scheduled right now, so feel free to call me. It would be
I
nice to be able to do something with my photography again.
Sure, we can have coffee or something, or here or whatever's.
Whatever is comfortable for you.
Yeah, that'll work. Um, I don't let people in the house, but you could come to the garden, I guess.
Gardens. I love gardens.
That's what it's called over here, right? The yard garden. Yeah, that's what it's called. Sorry, You can probably tell I'm not from over here. I'm from over in the States. I'm from a place in Tennessee. Um,
I do not believe that any one of us is from here. He just looks at Willow.
I don't know.
You don't know. Like that that just catches him off guard.
She actually blushes slightly and looks down. She just shrugs.
He's staring at you for a moment. Then he raises an eyebrow, looks to Adamson. I myself am not from here.
where are you from?
Family and myself came from France only some years ago.
Oh, okay. France can be a really interesting place.
He smiles. I enjoy the food and the weather a lot more than here, that can be certain.
Well, Miss Willow. Sorry, you asked me to call you Willow, not Mister Lady or anything. And when we're in here, would you prefer me to call you Christian or Runner? What would you prefer?
He's thoughtful for a moment. Between us, Runir, in the presence of others not like us, Christian.
Okay. So Runner. I've had my fill of the odd for the night and whatnot, and I'm going to go back home now and eat some crisps. He almost looks disgusted saying the word. Um, and watch Iron Chef reruns because I need to get my brain back on track for tomorrow's writing session. So thank you, and I am going to He does the nod thing and a quick scurry backwards, almost like his time limit of being around other people has finally hit his bzzz alarm.
He just nods at you and waves. Until next time, Adamson. And the flicker flies do follow you out of the bar.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Yes. Bye bye. Have a good night. Be blessed.
Likewise.
Christian just glances at Willow.
She'll take a long drink from that tea. That is probably almost cold by now, but she's finishing it. Well, that was something.
I have never encountered a Fae who was so resistant to their own nature.
Perhaps something happened in his past.
He just strokes his chin. Or perhaps he is too old.
Hmm. I don't know. Is there such a thing?
He shrugs. Well, it must be a harder thing for an older person to have their reality subverted in such a way.
Well, you're probably right. You do have more experience than I have.
I only guess I was quite young myself when my chrysalis occurred, and it seemed such a great adventure that I never looked back.
Do you regret it? Never looking back.
On this earth, I hit the ground running, as the humans say. I adventured, I did as I was bid as my duty as a knight, and my existence seemed fulfilled in doing so. However, things change, and there is more to life on this earth than the existence, the memories that we hold of our lives in Arcadia. And he just shrugs and gestures at the open textbooks on the bar. We all must change in some way or be rejected by this earth.
Well, change is not a bad thing. It helps you grow. But with all due respect to Christian, I think I'm going to change environment as well and see if my dearest husband is home.
Gives you a look when you say, my dear husband, but just inclines his head, nods. As you will, Willow. You, of course, are always welcome here, and may I say, I do hope to expand the clientele of this establishment. I have been entrusted with it, and so, well, when I give my vow to do my best, I must do my best.
I understand. I look forward to see this place prosper.
As regards your sword training, we can speak anytime you wish. We need not participate in a group session. It can be one-on-one. But I warn you, I have prepared myself with the arts of the dragon's ire.
And you would use them against me. Oh well. That just means an extra challenge.
He rolls his eyes. I will not say to strike me means death, only to strike me would prove more difficult than it did before. However, times are difficult, and it is not from you, it is not you whom I am protecting myself from. As you've said, the black rabbits prey on nobles, low and high. They have not sought to prey on me, but perhaps that is because they are cowards. Nonetheless, I shall not be taken unawares.
Actually, Sir Christian, would you know of a weaponsmith who may be able to supply me?
He thinks for a moment. I did have a replacement broadsword crafted uh, some time ago when your, well, not your husband at the time, but Lord Voidfrost saw fit to take off of relieve me of the possession of my previous treasure longsword. However, it is my understanding that Lord Voidfrost himself is a very capable weaponsmith.
I see. Another facet that I was not aware of. I will ask him then, but thank you for your advice.
He thinks for a moment. Well, you are always welcome, Willow. I would craft you a weapon myself, but the ability to do such on this earth eludes me.
Still, thank you. But yeah, like you said, the rabbit does come for all of us, I guess.
You know what, actually? He squints at you, and then he ducks under the bar, and he comes back up with a very fancy looking dagger, which he slides across the bar to you in its sheath. It's got a silver handle with a lion's head pommel and flakes of ruby for eyes. If you draw the blade from its sheath, it's a flame bladed pattern of uh, patterned striped steel. Um, and it is a chimerical dagger.
It's beautiful.
Its brother was lost when Lord Voidfrost relieved me of my long sword, and it doesn't quite match my current broadsword, so if it be of service to you, I would give it to you now.
Well, it would be better than trying to fight a green giant with my bare hands.
He reaches across the bar and puts one hand on top of yours. If ever you seek a champion, you need only say the word.
I am allowed to take people along with me, but the task to fight the green giant is my own, as is my punishment.
You are a baroness. Are you not permitted a champion?
I would not want to risk someone else's life over my mistakes.
Our lives are our own to risk.
Indeed, they are. I will take your offering into consideration, but like I said, I would not want to risk your life.
He smiles. Nor do I have any great desire to die, but I should not wish to see you die either.
Well, then let us hope that neither of us will. Adamson is right about one thing. The world has become more dangerous.
He slowly removes his hand from yours and then nods. Alas, this is true. And yet, we must count our blessings where we find them. He sort of gestures vaguely at the freehold which he now maintains.
Well, I will not take up any more of your time. It was nice meeting you again, Sir Christian. We should do this again soon.
He nods. Yes, I should like to cross swords one more time in the near future. You sell yourself short, Willow. You are more apt with the blade than you think.
I was not aware I had such skill, but we will see if I can improve. And thank you for the tea. And we will meet soon. And with that, Willow will also leave the bar.
And Christian will just get back to studying, wiping down the bar, and then finally taking out the trash, which Adamson neglected to stay to do.
He was kind of shocked because of everything. So, but yes, with that, I think we can end the scene. Thank you, players, for playing, and thank you, future watchers, for watching. See you again in Dublin Darkness.